Hey, what's happening, DC Gamers? I'm the DC Guy01, and welcome to this week's first episode on the walkthrough channel. This week, it's Carmelo Hayes against Austin Theory. We had two birthdays this past week, and it's the two young up-and-comers. It was Carmelo Hayes' birthday on August 1st, he turned 30, and Austin Theory's birthday on August 2nd, he turned 27. So, like I said, the two young up-and-comers who Carmelo Hayes was actually a little older than I thought he'd be. I thought he was still in his 20s, like mid-20s. I didn't realize he was already 30. So SummerSlam is today, later today. So because of that, Raw and SmackDown were a little light this week, because of course they don't want people getting injured right before the second biggest show of the week, or of the year, which always makes sense. But there's still some noteworthy stuff to talk about, so let's jump right in. Raw began with a confrontation between CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins. Once again, building up hype between the Drew McIntyre and CM Punk match. The main point of the segment was basically just to do one last little bit of promotion for it. There was nothing really special with what they actually said. Basically, it was just Seth being like, "You better listen to everything I say." Kind of. That was basically it. And, Drew and CM Punk taking their last few shots at each other. The first match of the night saw the Creed brothers beat Akira Tozawa and Otis. After the match, Chad Gable attacked Otis, putting him in the ankle lock, which then led to Maxine Dupree jumping in the ring and jumping on Chad Gable. Chad Gable got her off and then started walking her down as if he was going to attack her. Maxine, as we've seen in the past few weeks, did not step down and instead slapped Chad Gable, who, again, did not look like he appreciated that, and looked like he was about to retaliate physically against her, which then led to the Wyatt Six coming out, taking out the Creed brothers and chasing off Chad Gable. In the segment, it also allowed the other Wyatt Six members to unmask, revealing what their new looks like, revealing their new looks under the mask as well. Felt a little weird to do that. I felt like that was something that could have been saved till SummerSlam, but it also kind of helped clears up that they will not be wrestling in the masks, which, yeah, that's pretty smart. It's probably smart to do that, because I can only imagine how difficult that would be in those masks. I mean, Kane made it work, and, Rey Mysterio makes it work, but the masks that the Wyatt Six make, yeah, I don't see you being able to wrestle in those. Bronson Reed, beat Sheamus thanks to some interference from Pete Dunne. Which I believe is actually the first time Bronson Reed has won a match in several weeks, which is surprising. Jey Uso beat Carlito. Another surprising thing about that is Jey Uso does not have a match at SummerSlam. It's actually kind of surprising who all doesn't have a match at SummerSlam. In addition to Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes himself doesn't have any, doesn't have a match at SummerSlam. He's not really involved in any storylines currently, which is the main part of it. But it's really odd that Jey Uso doesn't have any. Despite, how he still has, ongoing things with the Bloodline and how he's involved with the Intercontinental title picture. It's present that he's not even like a pre-show match. Karrion Kross beat Xavier Woods. Sami Zayn faced Dominic Mysterio. The match ended with JD McDonough and Carlito interfering, causing disqualification and giving Sami Zayn the win. Jey Uso then ran down in order to make the save for Sami Zayn from the 3-on-1 attack. This led to Braun Breaker coming down and spearing Sami Zayn to send one last message before their Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam. Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville beat Chance Carter and Lyra Valkyria. After the match, Damage Control came out and took out Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville in order to close out the segment. It's a little odd to see Damage Control take out a heel team. I don't know if that's supposed to imply that they're now good guys or just another team in this like gang warfare story. Oh, he's busted open. So yeah, we'll have to see what direction WWE decides to go with the Damage Control. But yeah, it's a little weird to just kind of see them just randomly get involved with this new group. Now, if this leads to like Damage Control versus the team of Deville, Baszler, and Stark, that could be cool. But seeing them just get involved with Chance Carter and Lyra Valkyria just seems a little odd. So hopefully those three stay out of it, and it just becomes a storyline between Damage Control and this new group with Stark, Baszler, and Deville. I think that's probably the best course of action to do in order to establish this new team. Ow. I was looking. The main event, Gunther beat Finn Balor in what was a really good, hard-hitting match. You could tell they were still holding back, though. They weren't going all out, which, like I said before, is understandable, given that SummerSlam is literally later that week, and one of them has a world title match. You don't want to run the risk of injury for such a huge event and such a huge match for, Gunther in particular. After Gunther beat Finn Balor, he continued to beat up on him before Damian Priest ran down in order to make the save and brawl with Gunther in order to close out the show. Oh, no, you don't. Yeah, theory. So we move on to SmackDown, and SmackDown, even more so than Raw, was really light. Again, makes sense now because now we're only one day away from SummerSlam. So if anything goes wrong, they're not going to have time to. They're not going to have time for people to recover, heal, or really change plans. So they had to be very careful this week. So SmackDown began with the confrontation between Solo Sikoa and Cody Rhodes before their world title match. The main significant part of the segment was basically just announcing that the title match between Cody and Solo will be Bloodline rules. So we can all kind of guess where that's going to go. It's going to be a very interference-filled match at SummerSlam today. So we'll see if that ends up playing in favor of Solo or Cody. And of course, the big question is, will Roman Reigns get involved? It almost seems to be less of a question of if and how. How will he get involved? Who will he get involved in favor of? Or will he, will he interfere on behalf of either one of them? Will he take them both out? We'll just have to see. Oh, dang it. Got him that time. Codebreaker. Andrade Cien beat Carmelo Hayes. It's kind of weird to see Carmelo Hayes lose so often, and especially back to back on the main roster. Hopefully that isn't a sign of things to come. I doubt it is, because they're making a pretty big deal of the fact that he's losing so much. So there definitely seems to be a point behind it. And you know what? Just keeping him working with Almas. You know, nothing wrong with that, because they keep, you know, turning out really good matches. So if the story becomes, you know, Carmelo Hayes keeps, you know, keeps challenging Andrade because he just wants to get his first, you know, big win on the main roster, like prove himself against a veteran. If that's the story they're going with, I'm totally fine with that. And just have the story be he keeps getting closer and closer to winning, but just can't do it. And then when he finally does it, it becomes a much bigger deal. Of course, you can't stretch it out for too long, because you don't want him losing so many times back to back. But, you know, if that's the angle they're going for, I see that's like the best way of, you know, kind of writing off him losing back to back to Andrade. Santos Escobar beat Apollo Crews. Honestly, that's a good thing to follow that, because I see Apollo Crews as the one guy where you can tell they don't really, doesn't really matter if he wins or loses, especially loses. They don't really make a big deal about him, you know, losing so many times back to back. So that's like kind of the one fear I have of what could happen to Carmelo Hayes, but you know, you can very clearly see the difference between their treatment of Hayes versus Crews. They make a much bigger deal when Carmelo Hayes loses than when Apollo Crews does. So you can tell that there's, when you compare the two of them back to back, you see the distinction very clearly between how WWE views them, and you know, the attention that Carmelo Hayes is getting compared to Apollo Crews. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn face Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the women's tag team titles. The match ended when Blair Davenport attacked Jade Cargill, causing a DQ, allowing Fire and Dawn to retain. Kind of a weaker finish. I get it that they want to protect Bianca and Jade, and they probably didn't want, you know, Fire and Dawn to just beat them clean. But you know what? I don't think that's gonna harm it. One loss is not gonna hurt the momentum of Jade and Bianca. I think Alba Fire and Isla Dawn would have benefited from a win more than Bianca and Jade would have hurt from a loss. So I think they should just let the champs win and legitimately retain. And then right afterwards, we had our second tag team title of the night when #DIY defended the tag team titles against Chica Fatu and Tama Tonga. Unsuccessfully, however, as Tama Tonga and Chica Fatu actually beat #DIY to become the new tag team champions. And even though there was some interference from, you know, the other Bloodline members, they won pretty cleanly. There was no use of weapons. There's no physical contact between the other Bloodline members and DIY, so they did it themselves. They legitimately won. And, you know, I get that, again, they're still trying to really legitimize this new Bloodline, but I feel bad for DIY. Such a short tag title reign. Not even losing it on pay-per-view or premium live event, whatever. Just losing on free TV, I feel bad for them. Why couldn't they have been like the pre-show? DIY and versus the Bloodline for the tag titles. Then they just lose it at the SummerSlam pre-show. That would have been I think that would have been a better. I mean, even though it was only extended the title reign by 1 day, and it's still a pretty short title reign. At least losing it on the second biggest show of the year, I feel like even if they're going to lose it very shortly after winning it, at least losing it at a important event, kind of offsets that. It would have, kind of lessened the blow of that. Ow. Oh, dang it. No. Uh-oh. Oh, no, you don't. Get off me. Boom. Another code breaker, setting it up to finish it. You're done for, kid. Count it. Got him. And that does it for Raw and SmackDown. Like I said at the beginning, just doing that last bit of work of promoting and hyping up SummerSlam, which I don't really think they need to do because SummerSlam this year is stacked. A lot of title matches, most of them with a lot of story behind them, and it's nice to see when a title match actually has a story and a rivalry behind it instead of just your standard champion versus #1 contender match. Like Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, there's a lot going into that match. A lot of story going into that match. And because of that, it makes the outcome actually very unpredictable. We're almost guaranteed to see some kind of interference from Dominic Mysterio, and the real intrigue of that match is to see who he interferes on behalf of. By the way the story's going, you'd assume it'd be Rhea Ripley, but who knows? There might be something else going on there. And a lot of matches have that, where there's a lot of just really a sense of being up in the air on what direction WWE is going to go with. Damian Priest versus Gunther is another example. They're very high on Gunther, but they're also really trying to legitimize Damian Priest and establish him as a legitimate world champion and main event player. So, once again, it'll be really interesting to see what direction they go within that. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make fun of the time. Stay tuned for next week's Versus, and next week when we start our new walkthrough series, Disney Infinity 2.0. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave in the comments below your thoughts on Raw and SmackDown and your predictions for SummerSlam. Hope you guys enjoyed. DC Guy01 and Carmelo Hayes signing out. Bye, guys.